cave should not be this hot.
There are times I wish our forebears had cut a few corners. Well,
I've got you.
I get the feeling the Eye would love to send you out among the surgical.
I'd go in a heartbeat, but I've got dozens of scouts to coordinate. I wish that joining us.
Give the scouts some breathing room.
Absolutely. Khan Ultimate will be thrilled. I'll meet you at Cassidy's hold so we can deliver the good news.
If you're interrupting my petition reading time, I hope you're bringing me some good news.
Nothing but. The way's clear for the scouts to start retrieving those supplies.
Anything to add, Arakim?
I'm shaken to my core by the revelation that one can achieve things without forms signed in triplicate.
Interesting. I won't argue with success, especially when it keeps our people going. Brynn, since you've proven yourself useful, I've considered the ways in which you can assist us further. We'll need Isla's help for this next step, though.
Oh, we're all on a first-name basis with her, are we?
I should hope so, yes.
As it turns out, I'm actually in the middle of helping her with something. I'll come find you when she's free.
Good to know. Don't let her do anything dangerous, please.
She'd never leave her research papers for long. It makes sense that you two get along so well.
She's got a good head on her shoulders and doesn't make brash decisions, unlike some. If I may ask, what are you helping her with?
We're doing some discreet research.
I'm going to assume that the Eye hasn't been looped in on it, then.
You'd be correct. And I'm sure he won't be?
That would be counterproductive. And I think she would be upset by that. Regardless, I will refrain from moving forward with my plans until she's free. Do let me know when you're done helping her.
Brynn? Hi, Sola. Everything okay?
Oh, yes. Welcome back. It's good to see you safe. Could we talk when you have a moment?
Of course. You wanted to talk?
Mm-hmm. Can you walk with me?
Why all the mystery, Milady Smith?
In a word, I'm worried.
About?
Sev, he's been acting strangely. Has been since we met the Hearthsiders at the Hold. He's going there a lot in off hours, and he honestly looks a little exhausted. Dom, of course, stays up later than us and says he's often slipping away.
Have you asked Sev what's wrong?
I have, and he waves it off every time.
Right. What do we do about it?
Sev has completely cut me off. But you know how I tease Lane for watching us all the time? Maybe that will pay off here. I hate this cloak and dagger stuff.
You do? You seem pretty good at it.
Talk to Lane for me. I'm sure they've seen what Sev is doing, but maybe they also have a guess at why he's acting so odd. Okay, let's go back before anyone gets nosy. And if Sev asks, blood moon cycle. Not sure if Ram blush, but he sure does.
Got it.
We need to talk about Sev.
Wait, you know why I'm here?
I'm a keen observer, and you have no Pangel face. Also, Sola has many strengths, but subtlety is not one of them. Sev, however, is somewhat more adept at hiding things. He's been moving back and forth between here and the Hold quite regularly. Let me ask you something. Did you notice anything odd when you were at the Hold?
There was a moment when Sev approached the Eye to speak alone.
Ah. That confirms my suspicion, then. Have you noticed that Sev and the Eye wear a similar symbol?
I had not.
The symbol looks to be a stylized... Well, I'm not sure, but I think it's something akin to a water wheel. I don't recognize it myself, but given the Eye is wearing it, the Enclave might have some record of that particular symbol.
The archives in the Spire might have something. Though I'd rather just ask Sev.
Given his secrecy about this whole affair, I can't imagine he'll be forthcoming.
Good point. And yet... Either way, time for a little investigation. Hey, big guy. Everything okay?
Yes, mostly. I was wondering if you had a moment sometime. I might need your help.
Sev, we're all a team. Whatever you need, we'll handle it, okay? Just make sure you tell me everything.
Thank you, Brynn. I'll be at my usual place.
Hey, Aurea. About Casmin.
I know. I'm worried too. So is the rest of the band. Let's talk at the archive, privately. I'll join you and Lane in a moment.
All right. Hi, Aurea. I am here on behalf of Arakim.
That's weirdly formal. Everything all right?
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good. What does he want?
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping you'll give him tips.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary, to keep him on his toes.
Hey, you all right?
Yes. There's something I should have told you, so I'll just come out and say it. I was born in the Enclave.
How is that possible?
Oh, luck or tragedy, depending on your perspective. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here happily for several years. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great aunts for the first few months of my life. So she left with me when I was just a hatchling, with every intention to return.
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father. I don't even know his name.
Is it common for Oberon hatchlings to be raised apart from their fathers?
No, but it is common for extended family to be involved in the raising of children. As you know, I come from a long line of weavers, many of whom traveled in caravans their entire lives. It was apparently quite a shock when my mother fell for a Hearthsider.
So your parents were looking for a compromise when it came to raising you?
Exactly. And I wouldn't trade my childhood on the road. My great-aunts and my grandmother made me who I am, after all.
Still, you missed out on your father. It's natural to wonder about him.
I suppose.
Does your family have something to do with your attachment to the Enclave?
Being here has meant a lot in some ways, and in others, it's very different from what I expected. Meeting the Hearthsiders was a lifelong dream. But the circumstances of our encounter? Not what I'd envisioned.
Knowing now that this is your birthplace, I can see why that would be disheartening.
This was meant to be my home, after all.
This is definitely a twist. I feel like you could have told me sooner.
I am sorry for that. You need to be able to trust me.
So why hide it?
Talking about difficult and private matters is not my strong suit. And frankly, I rarely see the point in dwelling on the past.
Isn't it a little strange your mother never told you his name?
She was separated from him so suddenly. She had no chance to say goodbye. My mother is a strong woman, but whenever I asked about him as a child, she could only manage a few words before her face would crumble. She found it too painful to discuss, and I never wanted to pry.
But now?
I can't help but wish I knew who he was.
So, we're going to find out who your father was.
You would... help me?
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on where to start.
Actually, I had an idea myself. The spindle mentioned a statue of my mother. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling my father is among them.
You think there's a statue of your father?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as this great hero. Since she was one herself, is it so crazy to think she might have meant that literally?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what you want.
Good. And thank you.
Aurea thinks her father could have a statue in the Enclave. Aurea thinks her father could have a statue in the Enclave just like her mother. So, I'm looking for a male Oberon that fits our timeline. As impressive as Aurea's lineage may be, we're 200 years off the timeline for Arden to be her father. Not to mention the lack of feathers. Aurea's father is unlikely to be a Casil woman. Besides, when it comes to nurturing parental figures, Ramanos's shrewd eye for politics isn't what comes to mind. Aurea, this must be the statue of your mother that the spindle mentioned.
One of the greatest enchantresses of her time.
That's a lot to live up to. This statue does depict an Oberon, but it's impossible to tell who it is.
Maybe there's another statue that isn't damaged.
I'll keep looking around the city. Ah, my old nemesis. Paperwork. Mom would be so proud. Registries. Ah! How are things, Lane?
Sev isn't here for the moment.
I'll be quick. The symbol is registered to imports brought in by the Norian Order. Also, I have the location of a worksite in the Institute.
Good to check it out then. If they were working in the secret areas of the Enclave, they must have had political pull and trust.
On it.
The western circuit of the museum. Easy to get lost in the Institute's intricate halls.
seal on this paperwork looks exactly like the water wheel symbols Sev and the Eye both wear. Definitely the right place. Sealant. Waterproof joints for piping and such, it looks like. Some kind of liquid flow control valves. Complicated. Tarzan mercantile markings on this crate. Sev's from Tarza. So, Norians.
I've been digging. The Tarzan trading company that shipped the crates you found was the lead I needed. The Norians were experts in water storage and conveyance, and active before the surge, but disappeared shortly thereafter. Or rather, they wanted to disappear and subsumed their identities into a series of careful fronts, cover names, and the like. Thankfully, the trade record you found led to a whole web of associations, many of whom have had dealings with my family.
What did you find out about the Norians before the surge?
They seemed a somewhat innocuous guild of specialists, traded under different names even then, making them a bit hard to track. But as far as I could tell, they mostly dealt in water.
Dealt, meaning what in this context?
Aqueducts, reservoirs, wells, you name it. If it stored, gathered, extracted, or moved water, they were involved.
That explains the complicated valve I found underground.
Absolutely. They had specialized knowledge, which I assume is why the Enclave contracted them. Gas, such as raw magic, is a fluid after all.
How is the Norian Order related to Tarza?
As I'm sure you know, Tarza is an amalgam of numerous desert kingdoms. Before the Surge, Tarza had grown reliant on the same weather control enchantments that were used in Udea. After the Surge, both nations suffered greatly. Tarza in particular was struck with savage droughts.
Meaning folks, like the Norians, who specialize in water, had essential skills and knowledge.
I expect they were critical in keeping Tarza's many cities alive at all, a position that would afford them considerable influence.
Do you have any idea why they decided to hide?
Purely conjecture, but let's look at the evidence. We know from Sev's ring that the Norians are still around today.
It could be a trinket, or hand-me-down. But you're right that his behavior with the eye suggests they're associated.
Exactly. Now consider the Order's secretive nature. Combined, I would speculate that the Norians used the Surge as leverage to become a power behind the thrones. Take a nation that used magic to keep the water flowing, face it with disaster and drought. What kind of deals might a group of desperate rulers be willing to make, do you think?
But monarchs wouldn't want anything that undercuts their authority or power to slip out to the populace.
As I said, pure conjecture, but if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck...
How did you get logs of your own family's accounts, anyway?
I stole them.
Really?
Oh yes, detailed transactions from private ledgers. No one quite sure if you made copies or where they're hidden if you did. Better than bodyguards when it comes to ensuring one's safety. I did not leave my family under the best auspicious.
Knowing what we know now, what do we do about Sev?
I believe we can say for sure that he and the Eye are somehow related through this Norian organization. From Sev's visits to the Hold, I imagine they're working together on something, but I'm not sure exactly what else to do with that information.
Sev did ask if I could help him with something.
Perhaps a way into his circle of trust?
Agreed.
If I may offer a suggestion, rather than confronting him directly afterwards, talk to Sola. She's very good with people in general, and Sev in particular.
Thanks for your help, Lane.
It's no trouble at all. This is what I do, and I rather enjoy it.
You said you needed some help, Sev? What's up?
Have I ever told you how I envy your clarity, Brynn?
How so?
Maybe I'm just romanticizing it, but you seem like someone who's always known what you wanted to do. To be.
I was born in the tail years of a liberation war, Sev. It never made sense to me that I couldn't be anything I wanted. So I just decided.
I wish making decisions came so simply to me. Perhaps you can give me pointers when the time comes. And anyway, I've been working on a side project to help the Hearthsiders. And I'm having trouble sourcing some rarer components.
If you think it's worth doing, it's worth doing. Just tell me what you need.
Brynn, honestly, thank you. Your trust means a lot. I've put together a schematic and I'll leave it with Sola. The majority of the asks are reasonably mundane. It's just...
Oh no.
Well, I need some particular secretions from a glass tail.
Why is it never onions? You know, small, green, distinct lack of talons. Never flash freeze you into an icy prison, though I suppose both can make you cry.
I'm
kidding, Sev. I'll see what I can do.